Norlight. Okay.
Send up white smoke out of the smokestack.
Hopefully we're back on board.
Muddle through it.
Okay, so back to the master plan. Anyhow, the planning commission has revised the Almont Township's master plan for 2025. They held a public hearing, sent notices to neighboring communities. It's the board's pleasure on a motion. Got a copy of the resolution? Yes, sir.
I'll move to adopt the resolution 2025-002, Almont Township Board, Lapeer County, Michigan, Almont Township Master Plan. Whereas the Township Board established a planning commission to prepare the plans for the development of the township, and whereas the Township Planning Commission has prepared a draft update of the Almont Township Master Plan, and whereas the draft has been reviewed at a public hearing to gather public comments of the residents of Almont Township and surrounding jurisdictions, following notice as required by the Michigan Planning Enabling Act, PA 22 of 2008, and where as the Planning Commission has determined that the plan is appropriate for the future development of the township, the Township Board reserved for itself final approval of the plan as authorized by the Michigan Planning Enabling Act, PA 33 of 2008, and whereas the Almont Planning Commission adopted the updated Almont Township Master Plan, including all maps and documents included, and submitted the plan to the township for final approval. And whereas the Township Board agrees that the plan is appropriate for the future development of the township now, therefore be it resolved that the Township Board does hereby approve the Almont Township Master Plan, including all maps and documents, and here Michigan Planning Enabling Act, PA 33 of 2008.
Support.
You get a roll call vote, I think, Gary.
Motion's on the floor with support, and we will do a roll call vote.
Have a little discussion first.
Some discussion
Yes.
first.
I just want to make a couple comments. This was pretty painstaking with Roe. In my opinion, the planner was pretty uncooperative along the whole process. This is very different than what we've had in the past. In the past, we've had a group master plan with the village. Just because the village changed companies, I don't see a reason why we couldn't have continued on with a joint master plan with the village. We are one community. So I was pretty disappointed in that. Regarding the master plan itself, I don't understand why half of the document is in landscape and half of it is in portrait view. So, I mean, if you can't format pages, all of the maps that are in here are very small, unlike what we've had in the past. Let me find one. We had full page maps in here before. This is laziness on their behalf. This was originally 11 to 17 document, and apparently he couldn't crop it to fit 8.5 by 11. So, well, I'm in support of approving it because we don't really have much choice at this point. But I think we need to look at a new planning company.
Dennis, do you have anything to add on that, or?
Well, the splitting off of the village and the township, not doing a combined planning or master plan, has nothing to do with road. That was the village's decision a long time ago. Yeah, I don't know. I think we struggled a little bit, and I don't know whether that was specifically to our planner or whether Roe is somewhat short-staffed and New Year. So,
I guess to answer your questions, Rick will bring these comments and concerns back to the planner.
I did numerous times when I was on the planning commission, and it usually turned into almost an argument. it was pretty disappointing. And I know Paul's opinion was to, get through the master plan, Rowe or their competitors to look and see what we could do.
Well, that discussion's been had off the record a little bit
Mhm.
from the township, so let's suffice it to say at this point that we'll look into it.
This right here is proof of their work. Like I
That
said,
ultimately, of course, is the board's decision, so.
Draw the board's attention to two of the chapters. Chapter 5, that highlights the survey that was done. Andrea did a pretty good job on the survey. And you can things in there, figure 5.4, the most valued, the 3 outstanding survey results were small town charm, open space, and large parcels. And then these are some of the things I think the board and the township or the planning commission need to be aware of. Chapters 5 and 6. 6 is goals, objectives, and tasks. So those things are probably the focus, as I see it, for the master plan going forward. Kind of lays out some things that tasks are things that we think are necessary to meet some of the requirements moving the township forward. So just if those are probably the 2 most important. I mean, you can see the demographics and the changes and all that stuff up front, but I think those two chapters talked about what we got from the community. A small survey. I wish it had gone a little bit longer, but it didn't. So it's just a pulse of the community. And the nice thing is they're in the master plan. They were not in the previous master plan.
Okay.
And it looks like we're satisfied with the substance of the plan, but the format of it and the structure of it represents and reflects on the township. Is it possible, Dennis, to have Rowe fix it?
Yeah.
Format it correctly and do it the right way? I mean, I don't care that he's shorthanded. He's getting paid full price.
Right.
Tell him we want it the way we want it.
Right.
Period.
I don't see a problem.
Okay.
I guess I don't see the big issue that you're seeing, because I'm seeing, half-size pages or pitch.
there's 23 pages that are turned the other direction.
So how do you fit, but if you would fit this on a portrait size, they would be smaller. And by putting them on a landscape, it is larger and easier to read. So I don't understand. I mean, we will have to give him direction if we want him to update and
Right.
edit what we want
I say
to.
leave it as is. I wouldn't spend any more money.
What page did you look at that you were unhappy with that map? What page was that?
Well, they include the entire master plan survey results.
What
as
page
part of
is
the
that?
Master plan.
What page is that?
It starts here. It's near the back. And then it's 23 pages of charts and graphs that we already have in the meat of the master plan, because those are all identified in here.
Mm-hmm. So it just gives a little more detail in a larger format at the back?
No, it's the source of the information. I mean,
But-
did, Andrea put a lot of time into that information. I get that. But then the results of the survey should be used to lay out the master plan, not necessarily include it. So.
Okay.
That's
And you had talked about a map, like I'm seeing this size of a map. I mean, I think this is fine. So that's why,
that
when,
one. That one.
yeah,
That one?
I mean, some of them are smaller.
All these
one.
are screenshots of maps that currently
Okay.
exist, that we had in our current plan.
Well, I think this is definitely a step up from the master plan we had prior. But I guess it's up to the board.
So is this something, Dennis, that you would discuss at the next, or at a planning commission meeting?
You won't be we don't have anything for the planner coming up
Correct, I
Wednesday.
mean, at some point.
But the charts that are turned sideways are the results of the survey. They are also included in the master plan in chapter 5.
Right.
So these are blown up, and he's got them numbered 1 through 23 as part of, as the results of the survey,
Mhm.
but are also included in chapter 5 in
Right.
the master plan.
It could probably be omitted. I
Pardon
mean,
me?
if it's already in chapter 5, that's what I saw.
I think it's an added feature because it blows it up and makes it easier to look at. But they
That's what
are
I
in
thought.
chapter 5, the same
So
charts.
it's repeated.
It's repeated, but blown up.
Right.
And I think the current and future land use maps are probably in Ida's office, the big ones. Didn't we get those?
That was like pulling teeth, if you remember.
I,
There was a
I,
big discrepancy as to
Mhm.
what the future land use map looked like versus the current zoning map. Because he wanted to use the tax like versus the current zoning map. Because he wanted to use the tax identification.
Dennis said the larger pages, the landscape pages at the back,
Mhm.
these are exactly the responses that we received from the residents. And I like that they're included in here because they are in their own words. So I like that. And there are 1 through 6
Right.
in
but if you look
more
at- but-
business-like language. But I do like the fact that somebody could look and say, hey, this was my comment. And so that
Certainly, but
everybody knows that their comment was heard and their response
look at
was
the
heard.
font on that page. That's
Which
like
one you got
10 or
there?
12.
Oh,
And the font on that page is 14 or 16, and it's a completely different font. It's just unprofessional document. I mean, we paid a lot of money for this.
Is there a contract out there they're offering to us?
right, we do.
I think that's what we need to look at. I mean, we can say, this, that, whatever. Did he do what he was contracted to do? That's what we need to know. Did
I'm
the size
fine.
get stated in there? I don't know. I'm not,
I'm fine with them just
okay.
stating the facts that what I've seen.
Well, I think we should pull up that contract to look and see if everything, you were talking about land usage maps for
Mhm.
like an IDAS thing. Is that part of the contract that he was gonna provide it? If so, then we need to call him out on that and contract that he was gonna provide it. If so, then we need to call him out on that and
Okay, correct.
That's the problem.
And that was, he said, I can't get updated maps, but Rowe has GIS and they have people on site that they can actually update the maps. We don't have to wait for the county to update the
All right.
maps. So
Was
it was
there
just
any of this-
it was a lot of,
Okay.
push things off.
Your opinion, Rick. I mean,
yeah, but I really think we should find the contract and look it over a little bit and make sure that we got what we
was
paid
there any
for.
of this discussed at the planning commission level during the process? About some unhappiness with the format?
Well, we can get the maps that Rick's talking about, land use maps. He had those, and I don't have them with me because I left my file at home, but if that's, I think they'd be handy to have. They're a lot easier. The current and the future land use map, there's 2 of them.
How would you like me to state that? Font size and size of maps?
So just the presentation format and overall professionalism of the product was substandard.
And basically, he just took and copied the survey and right in. It's just- This is like 15 grand. Right. Yeah.
Well, I guess I just want the planning commissioners to be aware that their efforts were appreciated. And I wish we hadn't waited until we were going to adopt it tonight to have these kind of concerns.
I had these discussions in the planning commission when I was on the
Okay.
plan and said, we need to act on this. And the story was, let's get through it and we'll deal with it afterwards. We're here to approve this. I'm looking at afterwards. This was the end result of what we asked for. This is what we got. And to me, it's substandard. It has nothing to do with the planning commission. They did a fantastic job. Kevin Vallelonga had the same issues that I had with Alex, the planner. We would try to explain. He would just push back, talk about his other communities, what he did up in Harbor Beach and all this other stuff. We're not a nautical company or a community. We don't care about golf carts riding around and all that kind of stuff. We needed this to represent our community. And it was a big push. So
Well, the planning commissioners worked, was it over a year and a half on this? And so it's really too bad now we're at this point, and I wish the communication would have maybe been a little better with it.
go back
I
and watch the video.
Draft.
I know.
Before the planning commission started public hearings. And
exactly.
like I said, public hearings, the first public hearing was in October.
And this
And then-
draft,
and then-
right,
Pardon
right.
me?
And this draft has been on the township website also.
Yeah, there's a
So-
63-day requirement for public comment, following board approval to go forward with public comment.
Correct.
Let's note Rick's concerns. and,
Yep, I have.
I guess for in the future, we will address that prior with Roe and see if we can get this thing resolved. So for tonight's, unless there's any other board discussion, I would ask for a roll call vote.
Swears,
Yes.
Dodge,
Yes.
Esham,